here at Channel 6 News. I'm here with journalist Shelby Brown. Let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
I'm going to ask you a few questions. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, so what is it like to be a journalist?
To be a journalist, if I had to just describe it in one word, I would say awesome, because you get to tell people's stories. You get to meet people from all walks of life, covering stories that are affecting our community, stories at schools, stories in government, like for instance covering City Hall or different county government stories. So it's just really neat. You get to meet all different types of people. Everybody has a story and we get to tell them every day.
Cool. Did you have other jobs when you first became a journalist?
Well, when I first started as a journalist, I did a lot of jobs. I carried the camera, I shot my own video, I shot my own interviews. I came back, I listened to all of the video that I shot, listened to all of the interviews. I wrote my own stories. I edited the stories together. So I was kind of like a one-man band, and that just means that you do multiple things. But now, as I've been in the business for more than 20 years, I have my own photographer, so I don't have to carry the camera anymore, and I don't have to edit my own video. But I did have to learn how to do all of those things, which is always good. It's always good to know if I was on location and something happened and my photographer got sick or something like that, and some big news event happened, I could pick up the camera and start shooting and going and get my own interviews because I know how to do that. So, yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between an anchor and a journalist?
Okay, so journalism is like the big umbrella. Journalism is a big umbrella. Under journalism falls a lot of different things. You can be a newspaper journalist and write articles for the newspaper, like the Times-Dispatch. You could be a radio journalist and cover news on the radio, like NPR, National Public Radio. You can be a journalist for radio. You can be a television journalist and a TV journalist. You could be a reporter like me. I go out in the field every day, all day, every day, interviewing people. The anchors sit here at our anchor desks. So the anchor is the person that kind of holds the show together. So when our 6 o'clock show comes on, they start the open, and then you see Bill Fitzgerald and Candace Burns, and they say, good evening, I'm Candace Burns, and I'm Bill Fitzgerald. Welcome to the news at 6. And then they tell the different stories, and they toss back and forth out into the field to the reporters, to Shelby Brown, to Sandra Jones, to Tracy Sears, and then they just kind of weave the whole newscast together. And then you see them tossing over to the Weather Center here when it's time to talk about weather. They'll say, oh, Mike Goldberg is standing by in the Weather Center to let us know what's happening. And so that's the difference. But journalism is the big umbrella. But underneath that, you have a lot of different things.
Okay. Have you ever didn't want to interview a person?
Have I ever not wanted to interview someone? Well, I don't think that I have. I think that I've been in a situation where people didn't want me to interview them. There was one interesting story when we had some members of the KKK come into town when I was on a story, and we went out to cover it. He didn't want me to interview him because of my race, but I still had to. It was a little, it was a little awkward. But my job really is to tell both sides of a story and be neutral. As a reporter and anchor, you're not supposed to put your opinion, because what you're doing is you're presenting the facts to the community, and you present both sides. Some people might be for one situation, the other people might be against. You just present both sides, and then you let the viewer decide how they feel about it.
Have you ever interviewed a person that was in jail?
I have. And I'm amazed that sometimes people will talk to you from jail. But yes, I have. We work closely with the police department and the sheriff's department. And every now and then you get kind of a weird story that happens, and someone may have been arrested, and we want to hear from them. And so we can put in a request to the sheriff's department, which usually runs the jail, and they will ask the person if they would be willing to talk to someone from the news station. A lot of times they say no, and sometimes they say yes. Yep.
Have you ever done any surprise visits, like like on TV, when they just like jump up and say, "Hey, blah blah blah."
I think that over Christmas in December, we did what was called a month of giving, and we randomly picked people around town to do something nice for them. And I wanted to do something nice for a lady who lived in Richmond, and I got her family to help me plan a surprise, and we showed up to her house with the news camera, and we gave her a gift, and it was a total surprise to her. She didn't know it. So that was kind of fun. So she opened the door, and there was this guy there from a heating and oil company. We gave her some heating oil for the winter to stay warm in her house. And she was confused as to why he was there. And then I popped out from behind the tree, and I said, "Hey, I'm Shelby with Channel 6, and we're here to, for a month of giving, to give you a surprise." So that's probably the closest thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the last question. Has anyone ever got emotional in your interviews, like any emotion?
All the time. Sometimes when you're covering stories that are tragic, you